Good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon's transportation hearing. Before we begin, I'll call the roll. Commissioners, Commissioner Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Whitfield.
Here.
Mr. Belser.
Here.
Commissioner Howard.
Here.
Mr. Irvin.
Here.
All right, we got everybody here. Now we'll ask Mr. Randall Dong to please read the docket.
Good afternoon. This is the application of FCF Moving and Storage, LLC, doing business as Good Greek Moving and Storage for a Class E household goods certificate of public convenience necessity for operation of a motor vehicle carrier. Mr. Chairman, other commissioners, all the docket is in order.
Thank you, Mr. Dong. We'll now take appearances from the parties. First, the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Charlie Terraney for the applicant.
Welcome, Mr. Terraney. And from ORS.
Good afternoon. This is Lacey Hammonds with the Office of Regulatory Staff.
Welcome, Ms. Hammonds. Is there anything we need to do preliminarily before we begin? Hearing.
No, Mr. Chairman, not from ORS.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Terraney, you may present your case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I call Mr. Frank Fatigati to the stand, I would like to ask the Commission to accept the declarations of two shipper witnesses in this case, Michael Gisman and William Girardi, that were offered with the order of the hearing officer.
Okay, we will enter Mr. Gisman's affidavit as hearing exhibit number 1, and Mr. Girardi as number 2.
Okay. And we have a proof of publication on file, notice given in the Post and Courier newspaper. I'd like to admit that as exhibit number 3, if I may.
Okay, proof of publication will be entered as exhibit number 3.
Next, I'd like to enter the application of FCF and with its exhibits as exhibit number 4.
Application will be entered as exhibit number 4.
Okay. And I would like to call Mr. Frank Fatigati to the stand at this point.
Okay, Mr. Fatigati, if you will get you to raise your right hand and we will get you sworn in. You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Terraney.
Thank you, Mr. Fatigati. Please state your name for the record and give us your business address, please.
It's Frank Fatigati, business address, North Industrial.
And what's your
Wait
address?
a minute, we're having a hard time hearing Mr. Fatigati. Let's get closer to your mic, I think.
Frank Fatigati, can you hear me now?
You hear Ms. Wheat? Barely. Speak loudly, Ms. Wheat. We want to make sure the court.
All right, I'll take it off. I'll take
that's
it off.
much better.
That's much better.
Okay, it's Frank Fatigati. Address is 3303 North Industrial Drive, Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Fatigati. And who are you employed by?
FCF Moving and Storage, LLC, DBA, Good Greek Moving and Storage.
What's your position with them?
I'm the owner.
Okay. Mr. Fatigati, did you prepare or cause to be prepared 5 pages of pre-filed testimony in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any corrections or additions you wish to make to your testimony?
No.
If I asked you the questions in the testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Chairman, I move to introduce the pre-filed testimony of Frank Fatigati into this docket, please.
Mr. Fatigati's pre-filed testimony will be entered into the record as though given orally from the stand.
Mr. Fatigati, your testimony had three exhibits, a tariff, a bill of lading, and a checklist. We subsequently filed a revised tariff and a copy of the bill of lading, which also included terms and conditions that would be on the back of the bill of lading. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And you had a third exhibit, Exhibit C, which was a customer satisfaction survey. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And just for clarification, the bill of lading is Exhibit A with your testimony, and the tariff is Exhibit B. With, Mr. Chairman, at this point, Mr. Fatigati, do you have any changes you wish to make now to any of these exhibits?
No.
Mr. Chairman, the exhibits to Mr. Fatigati's testimony being the bill of lading and the tariff filed in this docket separately, the most recent versions, and the customer checklist. So those would be exhibits A, B, and C as a composite exhibit number 4.
No, it'll be number 5. We've already done number 4.
Number 5.
Hey, we'll do.
Right, that's 4. So number 5.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Belzer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tarini. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The bill of lading, are there supposed to be terms and conditions? Is there a separate page for terms and conditions on the back? Is that what you just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am missing that, but that was filed?
That was filed on 7/14/2020.
Okay.
The bill of lading to the pre-filed testimony didn't have them, but the one that we filed with the commission did, I believe.
Okay, well, I'll see if we can pull it up on the DMS. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll have it on the screen in a minute as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Fatigati, tell us a little bit about your educational background.
I'm a high school graduate.
Right? Where'd you go to high school?
Huntington High School.
Where was that?
That was in Huntington, New York.
All right. And what's your professional experience?
I've been in the moving industry since... I'm sorry?
You have a lot of experience, and I apologize. I'm going to talk, if I talk over you. I realize It's not the same when we're over the phone, but you have a lot of experience, so, take it a little bit at a time and tell us about yourself.
So you want the whole history?
Well, not day by day, but in general terms.
Well, I mean, just each company's. Yeah, this will be my 10th moving company in 30 years that I'm looking to open. I started in 1992 with a company in Connecticut. And then I went to Richmond, Virginia, and opened up another company. Then I went back to Connecticut and opened up another company. I had a company in Massachusetts. Then I came to Greenville, opened a company here in 2006. Well, actually took over a company. Then I also had a company in Gainesville, Florida. Then I just actually recently, like 2 years ago, moved back to Florida, opened up another company. Missed Greenville. My family missed it. So we moved back here and we decided to open up this company.
What was the name of the company you used to have in Greenville?
It was All My Sons.
Okay.
Moving and storage.
And then you moved to Florida, if I was following you. And
That's
what was
correct.
the name of that?
It was Family Moving and Storage.
Okay. and now you've come back to Greenville to open the present company, which is FCF Moving and Storage, and it's going to do business, though, under the name of Good Greek Moving and Storage. Is that right?
That is correct.
Tell us about Good Greek Moving and Storage and FCF Moving and Storage. What's the relationship between the two names? And, in other words, tell us about your new company.
Well, Good Greek this is actually a franchise.
Okay.
So we couldn't, incorporate the name Good Greek because it's an infringement on the, headquarter name. I've known Spiro Georgiadakis, who was the founder of Good Greek, for about 25 years. He was also an All My Sons owner. He had several offices also, and he departed very shortly after I did, and he started Good Greek, I think in 2013 in South Florida, and he became very successful over the last 6 years. He started doing a lot of professional sports teams, official movers. He's the official mover of the Florida Marlins, the Florida Panthers, Miami Heat. He just signed Jacksonville Jaguars on Tuesday, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, FAU College, FIU College. So he's really built his brand and his company, and he's created a niche that hasn't been really out there before by servicing professional sports teams. So that really kind of launched him.
Where are his current locations?
His current locations, he has his headquarters is in West Palm Beach, Florida. He has one in Tampa, and this location, and he's opening up Jacksonville because he just signed the Jaguars, so he's opening up Jacksonville, I believe, in about 6 months, and he's also opening in Fort Lauderdale.
You'll be the first location out of the state of Florida?
Yes. No, I'm the first location. Yeah, out of state, yes. Well, Tampa's open also. We both, committed at the same time.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about what your company's going to look like in South Carolina.
Hopefully it gets very noticed. We're looking to have about 15 employees to start. We purchased 3 2020 international trucks with Kentucky boxes. The trucks are probably about $110,000 a piece. We plan on growing that in, a couple of years to about 6 to 8 trucks.
Are these your trucks right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how much did you say they cost?
$110,000 a piece.
Ow!
Yeah.
Yeah,
the one was more than my house.
Yes,
I do have a warehouse. I do have a warehouse. That's where the trucks are housed.
Is that
is
the
warehouse.
Of the warehouse on the right?
Yeah, picture of the warehouse.
What's on the left? The front office?
That's the front office.
Right. I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute, and we'll get back to business. Tell us how you will go about. I mean, you've been in the moving business for a while, and I assume when you've been in the moving business, you've been hands-on. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So you have a good knowledge of packing and the moving business in general, right?
Yes, sir.
How will you go about training your employees?
Well, the West Palm office, the headquarters, has started, it's called the Superhero Movers program, which they place all their employees. They go through a 2-week training program and then get a certificate of training. And the gentleman that runs that, I actually went through it myself and my son for 2 weeks. And so I pretty much have a grasp on what he's doing, but he's going to come up here actually when we, if if the license is granted, and once we're actually able to operate locally, he's going to come up here and do a 2-week program for the first initial employees. Excuse me, and then I'm going to assign that to a seasoned person at that time to continue it, and that's something that we're going to do on a continuous basis.
You said your son, he's working in your business?
A little bit right now. He just graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
He just signed up for Greenville Tech.
Okay.
So he's going to work here through the summer and then part-time.
Okay. Great. How will you go about hiring your employees? You've already got some, I believe.
Yeah, we do have some. Really, it's hopefully it's just going to be word of mouth.
Okay.
A lot of times I don't. It's kind of like a double-edged sword when you hire a seasoned person because they have somebody else's bad habits. So I'm going to try to navigate through some of that and some new and train them to do, the job that we want them to do and do it the way we want them to do it.
Okay. These companies that you've been associated with in the past, have they ever been sanctioned by their regulatory authorities or had their licenses suspended or anything of that sort?
No, absolutely not.
Are there any outstanding judgments against you or your company?
No.
These trucks that you have, do you have insurance for them?
Yes, we do.
And you have cargo insurance. And what are the limits of your cargo insurance, Mr. Fatigati?
The cargo insurance is $100,000 per shipment.
Okay.
Or $100,000 per load. We have $1 million liability, $1 million aggregate, and then we also have $1 million umbrella, I believe.
So that's your certificate of liability insurance, and we showed the cargo earlier.
Yes, it is.
Tell us a little bit about your plan for this company. How you have 3 trucks now. Do you think you might get more?
Yes. I hope so.
If you had to look at the next 5 years for Good Greek in South Carolina, tell us what it might look like.
Well, hopefully we'll have between 6 and 8 trucks.
How many employees?
I would say between 25 to 30.
You think you might have more new locations?
Yes.
How are you going to advertise this business?
We're going to advertise through billboards,
Mm-hmm.
Google, TV, commercials. We have our own commercials, and radio, iHeartRadio.
Okay, right. Does Good Greek advertise in Florida?
Yes, the headquarters runs about a $2 million a year advertisement plan.
So that gives you a template.
Yes.
I'm not saying $1 million a year, but it's a smaller market. But that gives you a template for South Carolina, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Good Greek knows already has a method of advertising, branding, and services, right?
Yes.
I'd like to show the commission your bill of lading. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to share my screen here. Is this your bill of lading, Mr. Fatigati?
Yes.
And we filed a bill of lading. We filed terms and conditions to your bill of lading on the back, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. At this time, will you use a paper or
At this time, we'll use the paper.
Okay. Do you plan to transition to an electronic bill of lading?
We would like to.
Okay. If you go to electronic, will what the customer sees be any different than what you have here? Will you use the
No.
same term of service in the same format?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the commission how you would go about the electronic bill of lading process. How does it differ from the paper?
It would be formatted either on an iPad or a tablet, and it would be the exact picture of what you have here, and then it would just have the signatures that they would use. What do you call it? The thing or their fingers to sign the bill of lading.
Okay.
And
Would
then,
they receive
and then,
a copy of the bill of lading?
Yeah, actually, with the electronic, once it's completed, it gets sent to their email address.
I see. And if you were using the iPad or the electronic bill of lading and a customer either didn't have access to the technology or wanted a paper copy of a bill of lading, would you furnish it to them?
Absolutely.
I'd like to take a minute and discuss the tariff that we filed with the commission. And I'm pulling it up here. Is this your tariff, Mr. Fatigati?
Yes.
And these are your hourly rates on page
Yes.
2? Correct. Now, I see you have two
That's correct.
categories of hourly rates. Could you explain those for us, please?
Sure. Yeah, the Section A is off-peak, which is from October 1st to April 14th. And then Section B is peak rates between April 15th and September 30th.
We have some additional terms here, items 1 through 7, and some more actually on the following page. But explain these minimum times. First of all, the item 1, the 1 hour minimum travel time.
Okay, so 1 hour minimum will be applied to every bill of lading as travel time.
Okay.
So whatever, if it's a two-man crew or a three-man crew, it's whatever the hourly rate is would be the 1 hour travel rate also.
So the total of your labor times 1.
Yes.
What determines the size of the crew? I see you have different rates.
It's the amount of the size of the house. There's a lot of people that have just 1 or 2 rooms. So obviously they really don't need a 3-man crew, so that's where the 2-man crew comes in. We try to do visual estimates on most moves over 3 or 4 rooms.
And what's in item 2? You discuss a 2 hour minimum charge. What is that?
That's a 2 hour labor charge.
So we would have 2 hours minimum labor plus 1 hour of minimum travel. Is that right?
Correct. So it's and it's a total of 3.
Okay, except as provided in number 3. And what is number 3? How does that work?
3 is a 3 hour minimum, and that's for peak rates plus travel time.
Okay. Explain the round trip travel time calculation in number 4.
Okay. Well, what we do is we do a little different. Somebody was moving from, say, Greenville to Myrtle Beach. We would take the mileage between the two from the origin to the destination. Go on to Google, get the mileage, whatever the mileage is. Just say, for instance, it was 200 miles. We would divide it by 50, and that would give you a 4 hour travel, and then we would double it. So it would be 4 hours down and 4 hours back. So we would actually only apply the labor for loading and offloading.
Okay.
So You know, they load it for 2 hours, then the time stops. Then they have an 8-hour round trip travel. When they get to destination, they start the clock again, and
Okay.
whatever that time is, and then it's all